Will you pray with me? May the words of my mouth and the meditations of all our hearts be acceptable to you, O God, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. This morning's gospel reading contains two healing miracles. First, Jesus heals the hemorrhaging woman, the one with the 12-year flow of blood. And then Jesus raises Jairus, the synagogue leader's 12-year-old daughter, from the dead. And friends, in rather uncharacteristic fashion, I must report to you that I too experienced something of a healing miracle this week. Many of you have heard me gripe recently about the various medications and ever-changing doses of hormones I've been taking. Several of you even came up to me after worship last Sunday and informed me that it was not quite as hot in the sanctuary as I thought that it was. My bad, y'all. Turns out if you put your body through the ringer, your body has feelings about it. So this Wednesday, in the middle of a fabulous week of vacation Bible school, I was sitting in the office with my head in my hands, trying to will away a splitting headache, which of course doesn't work. And one of you walked in, took pity on me, took my head in your hands, and for just a minute, gently rubbed my temples. Now, y'all, I do not believe in faith healers, and I am a big fan of Western medicine. But that minute, my headache started to go away. And slowly but surely, over the next few hours, I came back to my normal self, which was good because there were 10 screaming children running through the building. What happened? It's not as if I hadn't been rubbing my own aching head, right? In the exact same places, in the exact same way. But something changed when someone else reached over, showed compassion, and touched me. Maybe the miracle is not the healing. Maybe the miracle is the touch itself. Because here's the thing, Jesus did not have to touch either of the women in this morning's gospel lesson in order to heal them. Take Jairus' daughter. Just a page or two later, we're in Mark chapter 5. In Mark chapter 7, another woman will approach Jesus and ask him to cast a demon out of her daughter. And Jesus will perform what can best be described as a long-distance healing. He tells the woman, the demon has left your daughter. And so it is. The girl is healed. And if I had been among Jesus' disciples on the road that day, I might have argued that this would be a better way to heal Jairus' daughter. First of all, it is much more efficient. I mean, think of it, Jesus. Think of how many people you could heal if you didn't have to go and visit every single one in person. And second, time is of the essence. The girl is some distance away, and her father has already told us she is about to die. She is at the point of death. Why risk a journey? So much could happen. We could get interrupted. Something could go wrong. Of course, that is exactly what happens. The hemorrhaging woman blends in with the crowd, sneaks up behind Jesus, touches his cloak, and is healed. And here again, Jesus stops the whole parade to find this woman, bring her forward, and speak to her. He doesn't need to. She's already found the healing she seeks. The woman has touched Jesus, but now Jesus wants to reach out and connect. Now he wants to be the one to touch her. As it turns out, Jesus has a real preference for touching the people he heals. He touches a leper. He is touched by a hemorrhaging woman. He takes Jairus' dead daughter by the hand. He lays hands on people who are sick. He touches the eyes of a blind man. He holds the hand of a demon-possessed child. He straight up puts his fingers in the ears and touches the tongue of the man who is deaf and mute. There is a kind of physical intimacy that Jesus wants to share with us. He wants to show us that we are fully human, and he is fully human, and God is there in the place where we connect. That God is present when people touch one another. Y'all have heard me borrow material many times before from the Lutheran pastor, Reverend Nadia Boltz-Weber. Nadia recently got married, and she and her husband spent their honeymoon walking the Camino de Santiago, the same pilgrimage in northern Spain that my mom and I walked during my sabbatical last summer. And this week, Nadia wrote a reflection on the difficulty of coming home from an experience like that. She called it the dopamine withdrawal that comes from having to return to the real world after a month of being uncomplicatedly human. Nadia writes, "Our very human bodies were not built for the world in which we live. Remember, human beings have existed for 300,000 years. And for 290,000 of those years, we were hunter-gatherers. And for 299,855 of those years, we didn't have light bulbs. And for 299,906 of those years, we didn't have Twinkies. I mean, it was hard. Which is all to say that this post-industrial life is super new. Our brains and bodies adapted over hundreds of thousands of years to live in a way that couldn't be further from what we think of as normal. Cars and concrete and Cocoa Puffs and condominiums. And maybe that, rather than some deep personal flaw, is why life can at times feel hard." Nadia continues, "For most of human history, we survived by living with, not apart from, each other. We evolved to be able to read social cues, to ensure that our behavior allowed us to remain in community. But now, our adorable little Ice Age brains are taking in and responding to thousands of messages each day, advertisements and text messages and Facebook comments, oh my. This is not the world for which our bodies, minds, and souls were built. For me," Nadia concludes, "the Camino feels transcendent, mostly because of how deeply and uncomplicatedly human the whole experience is. You spend all day moving your body through beautiful landscapes, and relying on other people who are doing the same. There is something like this, something uncomplicatedly human in Jesus' choice to reach out and touch the people who come to him for healing. It seems that Jesus is showing us there is value in the intimacy and connection that can take place between two people who stop with all the rush and the hubbub and pay attention to each other. Jesus' healings are not transactional. They are an opportunity for everyone present to be human together. Maybe this, as much as anything, is the miracle. Not that Jesus healed lepers, but that he reached out and touched them. Friends, what are those ways that we reach out and connect with the people around us? The people we know and the people we don't know, or at least don't know yet. If we are to be followers of this Jesus, who is it that Jesus might be calling us to reach out and touch? The story ends with a sweet and unusual line. Jesus tells Jairus' family to give the girl something to eat. Give her something to eat, because she is fully human. Give her something to eat because she needs nourishment. Give her something to eat because she is 12 years old, and 12-year-olds are rapidly growing from kids into teenagers. Give her something to eat because the miracle means nothing if we can't go on to meet this girl's uncomplicatedly human needs. Touch people. Feed people. Greet one another by name. The gospel is not nearly as complicated as we tend to make it. Thanks be to God.